it's a multifaceted role, okay? It's not just one person. So it's not her. Honestly, Mahomes has been a little bit off. I don't know what's going on there. But you can't also just blame the quarterback, but you can kind of put more on the quarterback because of the play calling and some of the it's tough. Football's tough. It's also, we've watched so many injuries happen this year. Get rid of turf. There should be no turf on any football field. Ever. It should be grass. I don't care if the grass doesn't look as pretty. It's fine. Turf grips their feet. And honestly, like, instead of, like, there's some slippage with grass. So if you're getting tackled, it's a lot easier and helpful that your ankle can probably, like, slide and slip a little bit. When it comes to turf, it's just like you're getting grabbed by Velcro. It's terrible. So we're watching all of these terrible tears, like ACL tears and massive injuries. And I can't watch another twisted ankle or like, oh, like it's brutal to see. No more turf. No turfy. Yep, women's soccer too, totally. Turf isn't great. Listen, it looks pretty. I get it. I'm sure turf companies have some type of a deal with some of these teams. I'm sorry. Turf is beautiful. Put it in your lawn in the desert so you're not wasting money on water, but, you know, and conserving water, but I don't think it's good for professional sport. Yes, I'll give you sports knowledge so you can use it on your hubby and he'll be like, what? I have heard that turf can cause cancer. I wouldn't be surprised from the chemical makeup of it. Obviously, we need longitudinal studies, and I don't think we're going to get that for probably 20 years. Hopefully, we don't find out a lot of players have massive health issues. We already know CTE and other issues when it comes to impact sports, but yep, I agree. Last time I drank alcohol, so full transparency, was over the holiday break. I enjoyed a little at New Year's. I enjoyed some over Christmas. And by enjoyed, here's the good news. The good news of it is that because I had so many months of not drinking, I definitely, I drank less. Like what I wanted and what my body wanted was far less than it ever had been. Not that I ever had like a massive drinking problem, but I could definitely drink a lot more when I was drinking consistently. So that was a nice plus, but I will say my stomach and my skin did not like it. Neither did my sleep. So I would definitely enjoy, and I'm enjoying dry January and continuing the journey, the sober curious journey. Yeah, I don't like weed. I'm not an edible girly. I'm really not. I've never respect if you're California sober. I don't know. It'd be nice, but it just doesn't. I've never liked it. My brain doesn't do well with it. It makes me more anxious than I already am. And this is like, I don't know, years ago. And never again. I want to go dry, but I teach and it's all about surviving. Oh man. I think it's worth a try. The hard part is what do you drink as a replacement, right? So I think that's where mocktails are very helpful. Kombucha in a glass is very helpful. And then having other habits that are go-tos. Listen, knitting and crochet, really helpful. Something creative where you're building something and it's rhythmic can be really, really helpful when you need that de-stress. Non-alcoholic wine brand, my favorite one so far is by the Zero Proof. It's their St. Viviana. They have a, Eduardo, you don't know, sweetie. That's actually not true. But okay. Eduardo is mistaken, but okay. Yeah, Topo Chico is great for mocktails, yep. Oh yeah, that's Bowie in the background. We're playing fetch with his Dunkin' Donuts. Cold brew that Dunkin' sent us. Seriously, Eduardo. Yeah, obviously someone isn't... That's one thing I definitely have. And I work too hard at training it. I'm proud of that. Listen, back in LA, if there was one thing I was known for when I was training people, personal training, I can build you a booty. I can't build you the other thing because that's just genetic, but I can build you a booty. Yep. It's actually not that hard to do. It's just consistency. Anyone can have a booty. Seriously. Like you just gotta train it. I have skied and snowboarded. I really like skiing. I haven't snowboarded and I think I'd be better at it than skiing. I I was good at it. It's just I'm not out there that often. Yes, I've tried Adrian's program. What I love about it is that it is glute focused. What I do know about my body though is that I'm very quad dominant. So I have to do very, very focused movements on my glutes. You cannot spot train, but what you can do is focus on particular muscle groups in the glutes that you're not using your quadriceps as much, which is what I need to do, because otherwise my quads, especially because I cycle, go like that. Squats are good. Squats also use your quadriceps a lot. So I'm a big hip thrust girl. I'm a big hip thrust, frog pumps, kickbacks, extensions, things of that nature. That'll do it. RDLs are great. Again, it's all how you train. It's also stance. Hi, glutes with Kendall. I would love to give you just a glutes and abs program. That's pretty much, honestly, because of all the shadow boxing, I don't really do arms that often. So I would love to give you a glutes and abs program. Those are my two favorite things to train. I don't have a lot of time to teach it, but I would love to. Yeah, so when you're quad dominant, it just means that you're used to being in hip flexion a lot. So doing a lot of posterior chain work is really important. Sport my parents didn't let me quit as a child. It's not that they did let me quit, but I had to quit at the end of season. That was the goal, and we had to talk about it. So I quit gymnastics. I loved it until I hated it, and then it just became a little bit abusive. Not from any training. I do think the way that I grew up, and I look back on it, and I'm like, I don't think gymnastics training was healthy, how they would treat young women. And a lot of the pressure, I already had OCD and a knack for anxiety, which we found out later. So I think that kind of style of training where it's focused on perfectionism was probably why, but also probably why it was problematic for me. So yeah, I love the sport though. So hopefully we see a change, particularly because of what we've seen happen within the sport the last decade and how there are a lot of abusive trainers and abusive staff. So it's important to, I think, keep the joy of gymnastics alive, but also training these young ladies and young men in a very mindful way and respecting their needs mentally as well as emotionally at that age. Yeah, I would say, listen, 3-year-olds, I think it's great to get little ones in gymnastics. One, it gets their energy out. My nephew's in it. He's 4. He loves it. He's tumbling all the time. It's great. It's great for their development. It's great to help teach them body mechanics, for confidence. I love gymnastics. I think where it turns is when you start getting into like competition. So when you start competing, I want to say like level 4, level 5, where it starts to like amp up. It's really important you're at a supportive gym. You have great coaches, great programs, and you focus on taking care of your kids mentally. Yeah, it has to stay fun. Yeah, I listen, I'm very pro gymnastics. Don't think that I'm not, particularly if they're little, like 3 to 4 to 5 years old. I think it's great for the kids. It also gives you time just to let them get their energy out. The wheel, yeah, they're doing back handsprings and somersaults. It's great. But when it starts to get competitive, I would, maybe your kid loves it and that's awesome, but really checking with them mental health wise, checking how they discuss when they talk about the gym, when they talk about how practice went. Are they beating themselves up because they didn't master that move? Did they not get their giant right? How were they trained? A lot of it comes, there was punishment for not being able to do things physically. And I think that created some negativity for me growing up. Like if I wasn't able to do whatever new skill it was on the bars, you'd have to climb the rope 10 times, or then you'd have to do laps. I think you have to be careful. It's fine to train and to build up conditioning, but I think when you start using physical movement as punishment, it's a little dicey territory depending on the resilience and the mental of the